This is all very trauma for me, because I love my mother, and you know, to have her physically and mentally tortured when right from the beginning, all it would have taken was one phone call to get her out of there. Oh yes, in that time there was one person that contacted me, and they said, we'll ring and ask her if she's okay. And I said, don't do that, you need to go around there. She had actually packed up all her stuff, hoping that one of the government people were going to come in and help her get out, because it's scary, all of this. It's very scary, because when you get attacked, the reality is you now know that person is a predator, or they're a criminal. And that aspect is that you want someone to be with you as you leave. This perception of victimization, that you can walk into a courtroom, sit next to that person. I mean, it's insane. Like, the insanity of all this, it really is ending with all this. So I had said to them, I said, make sure you go in. So they ignored that. And so, of course, she said she said, no, I'm fine, because, of course, she's being drugged. Guardianship time, because, of course, there was no video. Her friend rang her and then put the phone to the video. And so we had like a conference call, and she broke down, because all the way through I kept saying to her, I know you're protecting me. I know you are. You think that if you keep up with this, having all this abuse, they're not going to hurt me, because that's what mothers do. And also think of the names and think how long this has gone on. Nobody ever asks, well, what's the psychology like in the home when these men aren't being put in jail? Well, you don't speak about it. You speak in tone. Do you understand? So the mother listens to the tone, and the daughter listens to the tone of the mother. So we make jokes and we say, oh, it's all right. Well, guess what? There's help. Someone's crying out for help in the deeper tones too. I also contacted the Governor General many times. So I am demanding that he be removed. My uncle on my Australian side, great uncle, actually got offered the job of the Governor General. My Australian side are very government people, and that's been incredibly upsetting for me, is contacting all the government departments and having the FIB fuck you reply. It's like, oh no. I know what you do all day. I know everything that goes on in those offices. My father actually outed a cult in Australia when he worked for the government, and so when I contacted the government, I had expected them. Definitely, absolutely not special treatment, but I had expected you to reply, you fuckers. So that's on you. Her trauma in her brain, having to think that that she can't say anything nice about her own daughter, who she loves more than anything in the world. And you will not slander me. Do not think that you can say anything negative about me at all. I don't even have to justify myself. How dare you? How dare you think you can do any of that to me and everybody? The FIB, the way that they communicate, that's over. So the guardianship hearing, they deliberately, used that venue, that video venue, so that they could cut off the camera. When the camera wasn't working, I think they did say to me, can you fix it, or do you want us to fix, or something? And I knew that if I said yes, they'd disconnect me. I knew it. And so Mum walked in, and my mother is very tall, and she walked in, and I haven't seen my mother now for 8 years, and that's why when all this was happening, before this happened, she was booking to come back because we hadn't seen each other in years. And my mother had actually come to visit me in New York. Now, everybody has a family background. Her brother is he's not incredibly wealthy, but he's comfortable. So to us normal folk, yeah, he's wealthy. And his daughter, there are issues there. And my mum, on his instructions, went to visit her. And she got very jealous over my uncle's money. She seemed to be quite obsessed with my uncle's money. And in turn, rang up the mental department and said that my mother was suffering from dementia. I mean, it was like, whoa, that's vicious. And that was, I don't know, 10 years beforehand. My mother was not suffering from dementia. My mother, in that time, picked herself up, went to New York, and it was my mother that had to point out several things that were going on that were blatant, which I should have picked up on. So the hearing starts. So my mum comes in, and she is so drugged, and you know how we all get anxious over anything, a job interview or anything. Well, can you imagine a guardianship hearing? You're fighting for your life, and she comes in so tall and so proud. That's my mum, fighting for me, fighting for her. So they completely overdrugged her. And when she had done the test, they'd overdrugged her. And the first thing they did was that, so she comes in, and I see her. Well, now remember, her friend, in his little jealousies, had said that that my mum and I couldn't Skype. We only Skyped once in a year, and that's when she was so overdrugged. And the first thing I said was, look at her eyes. You know, she's overdrugged. You need to get her on a plane. And I was hoping that Graham would see past his jealousies. They were just friends. But the guardianship should have, the commonwealth and the guardianship should see through all that, should know that these little jealousies go on. So the first thing they do is they clear up the money aspect. No, the first thing they do is the chief guy. So there's I don't know, 3. I only saw 2. He tells me off. So Mum walks in. So I said, "Is that my mum?" And then I said, "Can you move her? Can you move her to the camera?" And then he tells me off. And then I said, "You're not going to make me ask if I can see my mother. I haven't seen her in over a year." So then he copies me. Now, trolls, they're great copiers. You always know who they are, is when you'll say something in a sentence, and pretty much straight back they'll copy you. Now, I knew that I was dealing with trolls, okay? That was obvious. For the letter from the doctor in Roy Fagan, it was very trollish. So I'm seeing my mother, and she can't hear everything that they're saying. She's saying, "I can't hear." She says, "I want to go back." She says it 3 times. She can't. She doesn't want to say that. She says, "I want to see my daughter," but she watches the reaction of them, and she knows that it's cold. So she knows she can't say that again. What she's then's got to say, "I want to go back for blah blah blah." That he dives in on money, pension, but you won't get your pension in England. Well, she knows that. She'll get her English pension, and fuck off. It's none of your business. He's getting off on telling me off. And his words are actually already painting a picture of me, that I'm outspoken, that I'm disruptive. You know, he's telling, his adjectives of me are very much that I'm a child. Now, I'm not going to say my age, but if my mother's 80, you know, she wasn't a child bride. So he's telling me off. Now I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, you got no right to tell me off. But of course he's gearing up. He's gearing up for more. He's making out he doesn't know anything